Well, the battle over Brexit has now spilled onto the streets of London as thousands of people gathered to demand a new referendum while lawmakers decide the fate of Britain's departure from the European Union. Well, protesters you see here waving EU flags and carrying signs calling for Brexit gathered at London's Park Lane before march through the centre of the capital to Parliament. Now, more than 170 buses from around Britain brought these protesters to this event. It was scheduled as lawmakers prepared to vote in today's emergency parliamentary session called by UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Well, the march, we understand, it was arranged by organisers behind the People's Vote campaign. Now, this is a campaign which says the UK should be able to vote on whether they are happy with the Brexit terms negotiated by Prime Minister Johnson. Well, we'll be keeping regular tabs on this story, so do stay tuned to the SABC News channel. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is racing against time to sell the Brexit deal he struck with the European Union to members of Parliament at home. Johnson has to now persuade opposition rebels and Brexiteers in his own Conservative Party to get on board. If the Prime Minister does not manage to get the numbers needed to win a vote, he could try to trigger a general election. Johnson has said the UK will leave on the 31st of October with or without a deal. Well, Britain's main opposition Labour Party says it will not support the Brexit deal. Our UK correspondent, that's Holly Hudson, has been tracking developments for us.
Last time that MPs gathered behind me here on a weekend was 37 years ago in 1982 when we were set to go to war with the Falklands. So incredibly rare, unprecedented situation that often only happens when we go to war. But Boris Johnson very much in many ways facing his own war here in Parliament today. The big question is, will he win? Has he got enough MPs on side to back his new withdrawal agreement, his revised withdrawal agreement that he secured in Brussels earlier this week? And as it stands, the consensus is that he doesn't. He might just scrape it, but there's many ways in which this could go today. He doesn't have a majority, so he's very much relying on potential Labour rebels, Tory MPs with which he withdrew the whip earlier this year, and of course the DUP, who have said they will not stand behind him. So there's several ways this could go today. We could see the start of the Brexit process set in motion, or we could be back to square one asking the EU for another extension. DUP are crucial. The Democratic Unionist Party, they prop up the Conservative government here, and their 10 votes would be definitely what the Prime Minister would need to try and get the backing that he needs. He needs them on board ideally, otherwise he has to rely on persuading Labour rebels and those MPs, Tory MPs, with which he withdrew the whip earlier this year very dramatically in the House of Commons. However, does he have enough? He's made his pitch. We've already heard that this morning, saying this is the best possible solution. This is deal or no deal, essentially. And of course, it is, as we always have heard from Boris Johnson, do or die. We need to leave by the 31st of October. That is what he's continuing to push. Is it do or die for Boris Johnson today? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Well, Boris Johnson's new deal or revised deal is 95%, 96% really the same deal as Theresa May agreed. And we have to remember, we have been here before. Boris Johnson and his government touting this as a huge triumph, a remarkable achievement, and in many ways it was. Many people didn't expect him to get any new revisements from the EU earlier this week to secure such a deal. But there's sort of 4 key points, 4 things that have changed in the text of that withdrawal agreement, all of which relate to new customs arrangements within Northern Ireland, which would avoid a hard border and essentially create a border in the Irish Sea. And for the DUP, they don't believe still that this actually, they feel that they're still treated differently to the rest of the UK. That's been their red line all along. They want to remain part of the UK, and they feel that these special customs arrangements, which essentially still keep them aligned with the EU in the EU single market, they're just not in in the UK customs territory on all but name, essentially. That is why they feel that they can't support this new deal. They feel it undermines the integrity of the union. And we've just heard actually from their deputy leader in the Commons saying it drives a coach and horses through the Good Friday Agreement as well.
Back home